half an hour, we look ahead to the start of a brand new Formula One season in this weekend's Australian Grand Prix. F1 chasing the dream is at 11 after the latest ITV news with Alastair Stewart.
Britain aims to make global warming history by setting legally binding targets to cut carbon. The government's ambition to reduce emissions here by 60% in less than 40 years. But how will they make it stick? And around the globe, will others follow?
The more we talk about that, the more we have TV programs like this one, the more we have leaders like Tony Blair talking about these issues and going around the world and talking about it, the faster it will happen.
Tony Blair has been inspired by Arnie's efforts to cut emissions in his own state, gas-guzzling, high-living California. But Britain's targets exclude CO2 from planes and from shipping. So, are the PM's targets just the stuff of fantasy? We'll hear from both of them. Also tonight, a flawed process. Military trials are in the dock as 2 more soldiers are cleared of war crimes.
I heard a lot of screaming. I saw soldiers from my battalion striking these prisoners, open-handed, closed-handed, with boots, with rifles.
The face of democracy in Zimbabwe. Now the United States joins in the condemnation of the Mugabe regime. And hanging on, Sir Arnold spends his first night on the north face of the Eiger.
And in the Midlands, he was the army cadet who vanished more than 2 years ago. Tonight, it seems, the mysteries surrounding his disappearance may be solved.
Good evening. It's a world first in trying to protect our world. Britain, unlike any other country, is on course to become the first with a legal commitment to cut greenhouse gases. In the battle against climate change, today could go down in history if MPs back the government's draft climate bill. Here on ITV News, we have reported the impact of global warming from the 4 corners of the Earth, caused, most scientists agree, by greenhouse gases. Today's bill promises to cut Britain's by 60% of 1990 levels by the year 2050. Our chief political correspondent, Daisy McAndrew, reports.
The warning signs on pollution and global warming have been there for all to see for some time. And today the government responded with a radical, even historic promise. But is it achievable? Britain is set to become the first country to set really tough green targets. Traditionally, the richer the country, the dirtier. So will that change?
We hold our hands up. We want to do better. We don't just want to break the link between economic growth and pollution. We actually want to cut, in significant terms, our carbon emissions, and that's what this bill is designed to help us do.
The climate change bill proposes that Britain cuts its greenhouse gas emissions by 60% by 2050. By 2020, they should be cut by at least 26%. Last week, the European Union set an overall target of 20%, but with no legal penalties. And the Kyoto Treaty shows just how difficult even that will be. Of the 35 countries who agreed to cut emissions by 5% by 2012, only 4 are on course to do so. So it looks like a tall order from the government. They say the targets are legally binding, so if they fail, ministers could end up being taken to court. But hitting the targets and keeping them out of the dock won't be easy.
The long-term goal to reduce carbon by 60% in 2050 will require a fundamental change in the way in which we all live our lives. It will require a big change in the way in which we generate electricity, in the way in which we use transport, in the way in which we use energy in our homes. And for some people, that will require perhaps a bit of pain.
So while we commit ourselves to feeling the pain to get the gain of a 60% reduction, we cannot save the planet alone. How long before the grumbling starts that Britain is fighting the war on pollution alone? Daisy McAndrew, ITV News.
Britain might be the first in setting legally binding cuts in greenhouse gases, but some of the credit for action against global warming belongs to the former action hero Arnold Schwarzenegger. Tony Blair met the man who is now governor of California last summer and was impressed with his fight against climate change. So, what does the governor think of Mr. Blair's efforts? Mark Austin was invited to Downing Street to find out in a satellite link-up between the two men.
Tony Blair knows better than most the political value of enlisting celebrity help, and celebrities don't come much bigger than Arnold Schwarzenegger. A satellite link brought them back together in Downing Street, where I asked the Prime Minister what practical benefit joining forces with the Terminator would bring to Britain.
Well, I was over in California last year when Governor Schwarzenegger did his groundbreaking bill in California, which was the first time they'd set targets for the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. And for us now, we've got the European deal, which are very, very bold targets indeed now for reducing greenhouse gas emissions over the next few years.
You say the whole world's got to get involved in this. Governor Schwarzenegger in America, you can't even persuade your own president to get involved in this.
Well, in America, it works sometimes a little differently because it's such a huge country that a lot of great ideas come from the local level or from a grassroots operation. We all have to work together and reach out and do that. And also at the same time to fight global warming, which is very, very important because inaction in the end will cost us hundreds of billions of dollars. So it's better to create the action. And I think that Prime Minister Blair is in that case the action hero because he's inspiring the world the way he's going about it.
Well, he'll like that action hero. But let me just talk about targets for a second. Prime Minister, it's one thing, of course, to set targets. It's quite another to reach them.
You're absolutely right. You've got to follow through. But you see, we can do, particularly when you say to business and industry, look, this is the direction we're going. You give them a big incentive to develop the science and the technology. And again, this is where countries like Britain and states like California can link up.
The Prime Minister mentioned political leadership just now, Governor. The whole issue of sort of personal responsibility and taking a lead on climate change is a difficult one politically, isn't it? I gather you're still driving around in your Hummer, is that right?
Since you mentioned the Hummer, I should say that one of my Hummers has been turned into a hydrogen Hummer, and that, of course, emits no greenhouse gases at all. And the other Hummer has been turned into a biofuel Hummer, and that one now emits 40 to 50% less greenhouse gases. So I think those are the kind of initiatives each individual of us can take.
All right, well, you've got biofuels in your Hummer. Have you got biofuels in your 4x4s that drive you around at the moment?
Well, as
or have
actually,
you got a Hummer?
No, I don't, but as a matter of fact, we do an immense amount here. Actually, the room we're in has got energy-efficient light bulbs. We get our sources from renewable energy here in Downing Street. We measure our own sort of carbon offset on travel now, and actually a lot of the government cars are the new environmentally beneficial fuel as well.
You're not going to give up your foreign holiday, though, are you?
Look, to be frank, no, I'm not. I mean, I think that one of the important things about this debate is to say to people, there is a way we can be responsible members of society, but without trying to get to the stage where you say to people in Europe, you must never travel or take the aeroplane. That is not going to happen.
All right, and just a final one to you, Governor. You're not a man who likes to lose fights. Is this a battle we can win, or are we doing too little too late, do you think?
No, absolutely not. I am an optimist, as you know, and I think that what is going on right now is just at the right time. And I think that the more we talk about that, the more we have TV programs like this one, the more we have leaders like Tony Blair talking about these issues and going around the world and talking about it, the faster it will happen.
Governor Schwarzenegger and Prime Minister, thank you very much indeed. Thanks very much.
Still to come on the programme, Greenpeace scale new heights to send a message to Tony Blair. I'll be talking live to one protester getting strident on Trident. And diamonds lost forever, £14 million worth to be exact, and you won't believe how he did it. But first, the accusations have hung over them and their families for 6 months in courts martial that have cost £20 million. Today, the final 2 soldiers still on trial over the death of an Iraqi prisoner in army custody were cleared. Theirs is one of 4 recent cases which have failed due to a lack of evidence. Tonight, there are questions about whether the cases should ever have been brought. Helen Callaghan was in the court-martial. Helen.
Well, it started with the death of one Iraqi man in British custody, but it led to one of the most complicated and costly court-martials in living memory. It's cost about £20 million to bring about. It's taken about 6 months to get here. And now that it's all over, there was a chorus today of voices criticising the way we bring our soldiers to account.
Policing post-war Iraq is a difficult and often dirty job. If things go wrong, in theory, our soldiers can be held to account. But tonight, at the end of the most complicated and costly court-martial in living memory, a chorus of critics are calling our military justice system seriously flawed.
Lessons need to be learned this time. Our officers and men need to be able to operate confidently on our behalf without looking over their shoulders, inhibited by the fear of reactions of overzealous and remote officialdom.
It was the brutal death of the Iraqi civilian Baha Musa that led to this court-martial. He died in British custody in 2003 after 36 hours of violent abuse. Now his parents have to look after his children. His father's bitter that although one soldier's admitted the war crime of inhumane treatment, 4 others were acquitted, 2 found not guilty, and no one's been brought to book for Baha Musa's death.
I call on the British Prime Minister to look at the case of these children whose father was killed and whose mother had already died. My son was not a criminal, he was a victim.
Baha Musa and other suspected insurgents were questioned by soldiers from the Queen's Lancashire Regiment at this military detention centre near Basra. The soldiers said that it was accepted practice to hood and handcuff civilian detainees and to keep them in the stress position, knees bent and arms outstretched, for long periods of time, even though that's banned under the Geneva Convention. As these photos show, they were also beaten, so badly that one Iraqi was left with kidney failure. Baha Musa died in this room from asphyxiation after being restrained face down on the floor. He had 93 separate injuries. Private Liam Felton was serving with the QLR at that camp in Basra at the time. He's since left the army, ashamed of what he witnessed, though he says prisoners' treatment did change after Baha Musa's death.
I heard a lot of screaming. I saw soldiers from my battalion striking these prisoners, open-handed, closed-handed, with boots, with rifles.
It's taken 6 months and cost an estimated £20 million. And as the judge said, assaults by unidentified soldiers couldn't be followed up because of a closing of ranks. Tonight, military justice itself is in the dock. Helen Callaghan, ITV News, Bulford.
For nearly 2 weeks, they've been missing. Their families and the Foreign Office worried about what had happened to them. But today came the news that the British Embassy staff kidnapped in Ethiopia are free. There's no news, however, of their 8 Ethiopian escorts, but the missing 5 have been handed over to the authorities across the border in Eritrea.
We've informed the families of all 5. They were, of course, very relieved to hear the news and are looking forward to being reunited. The 5 are being fed and given fresh, clean clothes. They're seeing a doctor and medical checks are continuing, but I understand that broadly they're all in good health.
For years, his has been the face of opposition to Zimbabwe's brutal President Robert Mugabe. And today, Morgan Tsvangirai's face showed just what happens to those who confront the Mugabe regime. It was swollen and cut. The result, Mr. Tsvangirai said, of what he called the sadistic beating that he suffered, along with others, on Sunday. Neil Connery reports.
His beaten and scarred face says more about Zimbabwe today than any words ever could. Still dazed from his beating and arrest, the opposition leader Morgan Tsvangirai condemned the government crackdown.
The saddest attack on defenseless people.
These exclusive pictures, secretly filmed for ITV News, show police firing tear gas during the weekend clashes. One protester was shot dead as demonstrators targeted police and army vehicles. Morgan Tsvangirai has risen to become a key figure in Zimbabwe, leading the movement for democratic change. Once an official in President Mugabe's ZANU-PF party, he became a trade union leader, protesting against the government's handling of the deteriorating economy. It led to the formation of the MDC, which stood in parliamentary elections in 2000, which observers say were rigged by the government. Tsvangirai has spoken to me on many occasions about the risks he faces from Mugabe's regime. He is not alone.
What is the situation like?
Listen to the president of Zimbabwe's Trade Union Congress in London this morning.
It's very tense.
He's desperate for news from home and has just found out their Harare offices have been raided and 3 staff beaten by police.
Beating people with impunity, I think it suggested that we are going to the better end of this process.
The end of Mugabe's rule has been predicted for at least the last 7 years, but he's defied his critics and his countrymen. The question is, are things in Zimbabwe so bad that this time he'll be driven out? A flashpoint could come as early as Sunday, an opposition rally in Zimbabwe's second city, Bulawayo. Then there's a general strike called by the trade unions for April the 3rd and 4th. If the protests get out of hand, will the police and army suppress them? Junior Rank's loyalty to Mugabe is severely strained because many aren't getting paid. Tonight, Morgan Changarai and 49 other injured opposition supporters were taken to hospital under police guard as Zimbabwe's descent into chaos continues. Neil Connery, ITV News.
A taxi driver is behind bars for life tonight after he was convicted of murdering his wife and 3 young children. 36-year-old Rahan Arshad bludgeoned his entire family to death with a rounder's bat, bought for the purpose after he found out that his wife Uzma Rahan had been having an affair. He then fled to Thailand. Their bodies were discovered at their home in Cheadlehume near Manchester last August, a month after the murders. Passing sentence, Mr. Justice Clark said, life imprisonment in your case means life. Now, it's the big vote tomorrow on renewing Britain's Trident nuclear weapons system, with protests planned inside and outside the House of Commons. Rebel Labour MPs planning on registering theirs by voting against the government were warned tonight by their party that doing so would hand a political victory to the Conservatives. Outside Parliament, 4 Greenpeace protesters scaled a crane next to Big Ben with a banner proclaiming Tony loves weapons of mass destruction. They're spending the night there, and one of them, Kat Dorey, joins me now on the phone. Kat, this is dangerous and pointless, isn't it?
No, it's not at all. We've managed to bring the debate into the public eye a lot more. We've had a lot of support from a lot of MPs who are planning on voting no, and a lot of MPs who have now decided that they want to at least go with the amendment that says that the decision shouldn't be made now, it should be made after a much more public debate and a lot more thought. So I think we've had a lot of point, actually.
Are those Labour MPs that you've been talking to leading you to believe that they may vote in sufficient numbers to defeat Mr. Blair?
I haven't been speaking to them personally. I mean, it still could go any way, but it's definitely looking a lot better than it has been.
All right, well, take care of yourself, and we'll cover that debate tomorrow. Kat Dorey, thank you for joining us tonight. Over the course of a year, he won their trust. So much so, the bank in Belgium gave him a key to the vaults. Then one morning, staff came to work and found deposit boxes left open. £14 million worth of diamonds had disappeared. And so had the mystery man, leaving no trace. Police say it's like hunting for a phantom. Our Europe correspondent Robert Moore reports from Antwerp.
At first glance, the security around the diamond district is impressive. Gems are moved in and out under heavy guard. The area is sealed off to outside traffic, and the surveillance is everywhere. And yet, one man has just made a mockery of it all in a crime that has left many here stunned at his audacity. The target was this bank, and this is the suspect. He was using the name Carlos Hector Flomenbaum, and with his vast haul of diamonds, he's now vanished into thin air, leaving police baffled, even a little impressed.
He's left relatively few traces behind.
Practically none. We don't know where he sleeps, where he drank his coffee, where he bought his shoes. We don't know anything about him, and that's why we are looking for.
It seems like you're hunting for a ghost.
We also said that maybe this is a phantom, yes.
What makes Antwerp's diamond district so tempting a target is the sheer concentration of wealth. The turnover in gems is worth billions of pounds every year, and much of that is done on a handshake. Trust is the name of the game. And it was that trust that this master criminal so brilliantly exploited. He appeared to be just another diamond dealer, turning up at the bank so often, becoming such a good customer, he was allowed access to the vault. Then he struck.
The man known as Mr. Flomenbaum painstakingly built up his cover at this bank for over a year until he was seen as a valued customer. But when he left for the final time, he took with him a cool £14 million worth of diamonds, many of them highly distinctive. So the question now, can he sell them?
To sell rough diamonds, you need certificates. The guy does not have those certificates. There are polished diamonds stolen, some very exceptional, for example, 41 brilliants of a blue color are being stolen. Those are exceptional stones. Everybody will recognize them easily. So it will.
But police concede there are ways of cashing in such a haul, and they accept they may never discover the man's real identity. Robert Moore, ITV News, Antwerp.
Now for a look at the markets, and the Dow Jones experienced its second biggest fall of the year, again prompted by worrying mortgages. It closed at 12,075, that's down 242 points. It took the FTSE down with it. That closed at 6,161, down 72 points. And the pound is trading tonight at almost $1.93, down just a fraction of the cent. Sport sublimity is the toast of Ireland and the racing world tonight. Jockey Philip Carberry rode the Irish outsider to victory in the Champion Hurdle on day one of the Cheltenham Festival. Anyone who backed him at 16-1 in a 10-horse race will also, of course, be celebrating. Sublimity won by 3 lengths from previous winner Brave Inca. Afsoon came in third. Still to come on the programme, no place for a fear of heights. We catch up with Sir Arnold Fiennes somewhere up on the north face of the Eiger. That and the front pages after the news where you are.